Okay, having a budget is a great thing. It tells us where we're going, how we're going to get there, and then after the fact, we can go back and see how we did. Standard costing is going to set up a standard cost per unit so that as we're going through the month, we can check our variances to see, are we spending too much on our materials? Are we using too much of our materials? Are we spending too much on our labor? Or are we taking too long to make our stuff? So let's do a quick standard costing problem. So the easiest way to attack these things is what I call the magic box system. We'll have actual quantity times actual price. And way over here we'll have standard quantity times standard price. So the difference between what we used and what we should have used as far as materials go is our total materials variance. Then we're going to stick in the middle actual quantity times standard price. We're going to take actual quantity times actual price minus actual quantity times standard price, and that difference is going to be our price variance. Did we pay too much for our stuff? Then we're going to take actual quantity times standard price and subtract standard quantity times standard price, and that's going to give us our quantity variance. Did we use too much of our stuff? And the price variance and the quantity variance combined should give us the total materials variance. So the only hard part about these problems is figuring out what the actual and the standards are. So here it tells us these are our standard costs per unit, and then it gives us the actual cost per unit. So first of all, let's just fill out the standard stuff up here. We'll look at materials and labor first. It tells us that we're supposed to use 1 pound of plastic at $7 a pound. So each unit should have a materials cost of 1 times 7 or $7. As far as labor goes, we're supposed to use 1.6 hours at $12 per hour. So our labor cost should be $19.20 per unit for a total of $26.20. So those are our standards. Now we just have to figure out what our actual results were for the month. The problem tells us that the materials cost was $36,720 for 5,100 pounds. Well, how much is that per pound? Dollars per pound. 36,720 divided by 5,100 will give us our dollars per pound. So we know we spent a total of 36,720. We used 5,100 pounds at $7.20 a pound. So before we go any further, we already know that there's an unfavorable price variance. We paid an extra 20 cents per pound over what we were supposed to pay. All right, now let's do the same thing for labor. Our total labor cost is $92,500 for 7,400 hours. So how much did I pay our guys per hour? $92,500 divided by 7,400. So our total labor cost is that $92,500, 7,400 hours at $12.50 an hour. So we know we have an unfavorable price variance on our labor. We were supposed to pay them $12 an hour, paid them $12.50 an hour. So now all we have to do is fill in the magic boxes with these numbers. Our actual quantity is 5,100 pounds times an actual price of $7.20. So this box here is 36,720. Our standard quantity times our standard price is the 4,800. We're supposed to use 1 pound to make 4,800 units. So that's 4,800 pounds times the standard price of $7. So this box out here is 33,600. So we take the 36,720 that we actually spent, we subtract the 33,600 we were supposed to spend, and we get a total materials variance of 33,120. Since that's a positive number, that means the actuals are greater than the standards, so that's an unfavorable total materials variance. Now we simply have to fill out the magical box in the middle. We take the actual quantity, which is the 5,100 that we actually used, times the standard price, which is the $7. So our middle box is $35,700. Actual quantity times actual price minus actual quantity times standard price gives us 1,020. That's an unfavorable variance because it's a positive number. We take the magic box total 35,700 minus 33,600. That gives us a quantity variance of 2,100, which is also unfavorable. So if you take the $1,020 unfavorable price variance, the $2,100 unfavorable quantity variance, and add them together, you end up with that total materials variance that we already calculated of 3,120. Okay, for the labor, this box out here is 92,500. The actual hours of 7,400 times the actual rate of $12.50 gives us 92,500. The standard hours here, we were supposed to use 1.6 hours on each unit. 1.6 times 4,800 is 7,680. We're supposed to pay our guys $12. So this box out here has a value of 92,160. You take the actual hours times the actual rate, which is 92,500, subtract the standard hours times the standard rate, which is 92,160, and you get a positive 340. So our total labor variance is $340. So to get the price and the quantity variance, we just have to stick the magic box in the middle here. The actual hours that we spent were 7,400. The standard rate is $12. So this middle box now has a value of 88,800. We take 92,500 minus 88,800 and we get a price variance of 3,700. We take 88,800 minus 92,160 and we get a negative 3,360. So that means it's a favorable quantity variance. Our guys worked faster than we thought they would. So you take the labor price variance of 3,700 unfavorable, combine it with the favorable variance of 3,360, and you end up with a total labor variance of $340. Overhead variances are a pain in the butt, but let's just do the total overhead variance. Here's our total overhead, variable plus fixed. That adds up to 80,700. We're going to subtract from that the overhead applied at the standard rate. Well, we were supposed to work 1.6 hours on each of these guys. So we should have worked 7,680 hours. We were supposed to apply overhead at the rate of $10 per hour. So 7,680 direct labor hours times the $10 of overhead means that if we were working efficiently and at the right amount, we would have applied $76,800 worth of overhead. The actual overhead of 80,700 minus 76,800 gives us a total overhead variance of 3,900. It's a positive number, so it's unfavorable. And so that's all there is to calculating these variances for a standard costing system.